Here is a beautiful image of Alex Gleason's 1892 New Standard Map of the World that was on projection at Modern College in Blackheath, England. It states at the top of the map that it is scientifically and practically correct. The way Gleason's map significantly differs from standard maps of the world is in its representation of the poles. As you can see by comparison with a conventional world map, the primary difference in Gleason's map is that the North Pole is actually situated in the centre of the Earth, and upon first glance the South Pole, or what is known as Antarctica, appears to be missing. Upon closer inspection, however, you realise that Antarctica is indeed present and makes up the majority of landmass on the map. Antarctica in Gleason's map is an encompassing ice ring that covers the entire outer reaches of Earth. Gleason's map has become somewhat of a canonical historical document for flat earthers. Many often reposting the image on the internet and heralding it as solid proof that refutes the heliocentric model of the Earth. Or in other words, proving that the Earth is not a spinning globe in space, but a circular, flat and stationary plane. This was not enough proof for me, and while I gravitated towards the idea of a giant encompassing ice wall as a neat concept, I knew that we had a vast amount of evidence proving the existence of space, spherical planets, and entire sciences dedicated to solving the mathematical conundrums of physics. I mean, we landed on the moon, for God's sake. Surely if the Earth was flat and stationary, then somebody would have realised by now. These brave souls did the unthinkable. They flew to the moon, they landed, took their first cautionary steps and planted the American flag. NASA sent multiple crews to the moon on subsequent Apollo missions. They even managed to film Apollo 17 leaving the moon.
Stage pushed. Mission arm is out. Okay, I'm going to get the pro. 99 proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good.
But wait, hold on. If this is footage of the crew leaving the moon and making the journey back to Earth, then who did they leave behind to film their craft take off? And wait, don't you think those colourful emissions on takeoff look kind of fake? I haven't seen any subsequent rockets produce these sort of dazzling colours, and I suppose they did admit that they had lost all their data from the mission. But maybe that was just coincidence. I started looking into NASA a bit more closely, and what I found was shocking. I can say with certainty that NASA is indeed lying to the world, and has been lying ever since its founding in 1958. But don't take my word for it. Sometimes you can't tell people the truth, you have to show them. So let me show you. Buckle up and sit tight, because Houston, we have a big problem.
Okay, well, there's a big problem with the blue marble, and I'm going to zoom in here and show you what the problem is. These are all composite images where they are really not very good at Photoshop because they're using the Photoshop clone tool to replicate clouds. This cloud is a copy of this cloud. See the formations? They're identical formations. These right here, side by side, side by side. See this kind of W looking shape right here, replicated right here. This cloud is exactly the same as that cloud. You know, same clouds right there, and same thing on the other side of the world. They got the same thing going on. They got careless here. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the same formations replicated right there. These two replicated, same exact formations right here. This right here is clone of that right there. I mean, really? So you're telling me that we could take pictures of Jupiter and Saturn, huge, massive planets, and now we're out going to Pluto, but we don't have one legitimate picture of the Earth from space that's not a composite? Click on this picture right here. Supposedly the same mission, same guys that took the picture of the most famous picture of our Earth. I'm going to do save image as, and let's see, Apollo Moon, let's call it Apollo Moon 17. And I'm going to open that in Photoshop. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on the Earth. I'm going to go to image, adjust, levels, and I'm going to bring the levels up. Uh-oh. Why is there a square box around the Earth allegedly taken from the scientists on the moon in Apollo 17? People wonder why I don't trust NASA. That's why I don't trust NASA.
And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
We'll continue to do what it takes to turn science fiction into science fact.
So they're now in the longest abort zone that carries them all the way from about 8 minutes and 44 seconds into today's flight. So a little over 5 minutes to go still on this second stage. We heard the call out to Alpha, so they're now in the longest abort zone that carries them all the way from about 8 minutes and 44 seconds into today's flight. So a little over 5 minutes to go still on this second stage. We heard the call out to Alpha, so they're now in the longest abort zone that carries them all the way from about three data back from the space.
Stage 2 propulsion.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
The system also includes lightweight glove-like devices that transmit data records of arm, hand, and finger position and shape to a host computer. In coordination with speech recognition technology, this information is used to interact with virtual objects in the synthesized environment.
The future, the internet is going to be in our contact lens. And when the internet is in our contact lens, you blink and you will go online.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
It's a little tricky getting in here.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Now sometimes you get water in the helmet, and it's either from sweat or from the cooling garments. And in some of my spacewalks, I had like water in the helmet, not like I was going to drown in the helmet, but just little bits of water. Probably came from sweat. Often on the outside of the space station, you'll liberate little pieces of, it's a really harsh environment out there, and the outside of the space station gets beat up pretty good. And sometimes, you'll see just little flecks of paint or something that you might have disrupted floating away from the suit. And, that's generally what that is. I've never seen any kind of air bubble anywhere.
Yeah. Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there?
In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Despite the advanced technologies of multi-layered, computer-generated images, NASA is still unable to remove bubbles in space. Bubbles in space. This summer, get ready for the revelation so unbelievable that only the most observant, perceptive, unbiased will figure it out. Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles in space. Bubbles in Space starts today at theaters everywhere.
These people are lying to us.
¿Y cómo es salir del interior de la nave al universo? ¿Cómo es ese momento en el que...?
Pues eso yo solo lo he hecho en preparación en la piscina y no lo sé decir.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Saying I misrepresented myself? Away from me. You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
And then there is this. Official NASA research into the dynamics of an aircraft that would function over a flat and non-rotating Earth. A flat and non-rotating Earth. A flat and non-rotating Earth. What? I know NASA has a tremendous multi-billion-dollar budget, but why would the organisation waste funding research for an aircraft that functions over a flat and stationary Earth? I thought we lived on a spinning globe in space. Is this not like Toyota designing a new car that drives through lava? It would never be used and would be a tremendous waste of money. This is all fun and games until you really start to ponder NASA's lies. Why would the biggest space organisation, whose vision statement on their website claims that it is their goal to discover and expand knowledge for the benefit of humanity, lie? And where exactly does their multi-billion-dollar annual budget go? In the last 5 years, NASA's total annual budget between 2016 and 2020 totals over a whopping $100 billion. Why would they commit such fraudulent actions if they want to benefit humanity with their understanding and exploration of space? And if we cannot trust the most famous of all space organisations to give us the truth, then is the Earth really what we've been led to believe it is? And then I remembered the 1959 United Nations Treaty, which prohibits and regulates all global activity on the continent of Antarctica and ensures that the continent belongs to no nation. With Gleason's map in mind, I started to wonder whether Antarctica was really what we had been told it was. Was it really a freezing white untouched paradise where, as Sir David Attenborough shows us, penguins play in the snow? Could it really be a huge ice wall encompassing the entire Earth? And then something dawned on me and stopped me in my tracks. How did I not notice? It was staring me in the face the whole time. Gleason's map. Hidden in plain sight in the United Nations logo. Look, the North Pole is at the centre just like Gleason's map. And why is Antarctica missing? Or is it? Upon closer inspection I realised that the logo was framed in a circular laurel. I know from ancient Greek mythology that the laurel leaf came to symbolise Apollo. Apollo again. Just like the moon missions. In ancient Rome the laurel was not permitted for profane uses, and lighting it at the fires of the altar was strictly forbidden. And I knew from the treaty that the UN had strictly forbidden Antarctica from being explored and exploited. Was there a message in this? I started digging, and then I realised that not only did the United Nations have this logo, but also the International Maritime Organization, the International Civil Aviation Organization, and the World Health Organization. The Maritime Organization polices the seas, and the Aviation Organization polices the skies. The World Health Organization controls all health and disease communications and guidance for the world, much like it has during the COVID-19 pandemic. Did the UN's military really police Antarctica with the maritime and aviation, or is it just an arbitrary treaty honouring the last unspoiled place on Earth?
Just a Navy destroyer. Stop, Josh. They take it seriously.
What did they say?
He's turning. Stop. He's turning. He is actually turning.
What you said about the ship yesterday?
No, he is turning. Fucking hell, what have we done now? It's turning, Josh. Just sit still.
It's turning right at us.
It's coming to us.
It is coming to us.
We've set up a demo today with this Cessna and the Air National Guard. I'm going to be inside of this Cessna and we're going to be going rogue. We're going to fly into that no-fly zone and we're going to see how the Air National Guard does it. They scramble the fighter jets.
Take off. We're off.
Flying for miles and miles until...
Okay, we've just entered the no-fly zone now.
Our pilots aren't talking to air traffic control, ignoring their calls to reach them. That triggers an alarm at the Air National Guard base. These fighter pilots scrambling to their jets. They're on alert and ready to take action 24 hours a day. Today, racing to their F-16s, suiting up, climbing on board, and rushing to the runway. Taking off to intercept our rogue Cessna. Reaching the target in just minutes. This is the view from the F-16. That's my Cessna right there.
Dating as you would think it would be. Look at that fighter jet. He's right off our wing.
Another F-16 swooping in on the right, calling us on aviation frequencies.
You have been intercepted. If you hear this transmission, acknowledge the radio call and rock your wings.
He wants us to identify ourselves. We're a rogue aircraft, remember, for this demonstration, so we're not going to respond at all and see.
You are ordered to turn to the northwest.
The fighter jet giving us one last warning. After all of this, the pilot still won't listen. The plane won't leave the airspace. Will you shoot them down?
If required, we'll execute the rules of engagement per the commander of the North American Aerospace Defense Command. And yes, we would do that.
Why are they policing the parameters of Antarctica in such a vigilant way? Surely they are just protecting the penguins and seals that we've seen so often in Planet Earth and Frozen Planet documentaries. I don't know, I'm not too sure anymore, because after I stumbled across this. A giant ice wall, stretching for what seems to be hundreds and hundreds of miles. I don't know about you, but I find this footage deeply disturbing. With NASA's lies in mind and that great ice wall looming in the distance, I began to experience what some call cognitive dissonance. I went into denial. Of course none of this could be true, and of course our Earth is a spinning globe as we've been taught throughout our lives. It's one thing NASA lying, but are all the professors and scientists lying too? Is the National Geographic Channel lying? And what about Newton, Einstein, Hawking and Attenborough? Are they lying too? It's a complicated answer, and I will do my best to show you the truth. But before we look at the gatekeepers of knowledge and the trusted voices of our world, I need to show you more of our Earth. I don't want to lose you just yet. Come with me to part 3, where we will explore a few ways our Earth could work as a flat and stationary plane.
마술 하나 보여줄까?